8 string. Not that it doesn't sound wicked and awesome. It's just because the 8 string doesn't play as well as the 7 string. I don't want to write a whole bunch of songs that I'm like, ah, geez, I wish it sounded better. I wish, you know what I mean? I'd rather just not go there, even though my whole point of buying the 8 string for me was those, you know, extra extended notes that you could get with the extra 2 strings, right? And I thought of the 8 string more of a rhythm guitar to begin with anyway. And the one I bought, well, you can play leads on it, don't kid yourself, but you know, it's like playing leads on an acoustic guitar, so you got to work really hard for it, right? Well, there must have been a tree down in the middle of the road here. There's wood chips. But the 7 string, except for when it comes to vibrato, it's pretty, like, you got to work harder to play a 7 string. It's not that it's more difficult to play technique wise or like that. It's just that, you know, you need more, you know, it's a heavier string gauge and longer scale neck length, wider neck. The wider neck is, I think, what took the, which is on the 7 string I adapted to it right away, but on the 8 string it took me a while, a good 6 months before I got used to being able to play the, you know, like for my brain to wire to it so that whenever I'd play a chord I could do it without thinking and actually hit the right chord. Where with the 8 string I would, like, if I'd go for an A minor chord, I'd hit an E flat, you know what I mean, or something like that, because my fingers would instinctively go where they would go on a 6 string, right? And the other thing I noticed with the 8 string is the string spacings are a lot closer, so it, especially near the nut, so it makes it harder. But the other tool is the bass, right? So I started with that 5 string bass. We'll technically call that my first real bass. Oh, Gary's up. And that in itself is pretty cool. You know, it does the job, but it's not a great bass. It's a good bass. You know, it's a good learning bass. It records okay. It's not the clearest. It's you know, the scale length is easy to play because it's a 34-inch scale length, but that low B's kind of flubby, like on the 8 string, because it's not, the scale length isn't long enough to accommodate the proper string tension for that low B for the 5th string, right? So I know myself that when I decided about 2 or 3 years ago, well, it's been longer than 2 or 3 years ago, I said at some point I'm going to get a bass. What kind of bass am I going to get, right? I knew at one point that I was going to have to decide whether I was going to go 4 or 5 or